think Trump is reasserting respect and self-respect. And he's demanding both if you want access to his market or if you want military support. Back to that falling tower in Germany. You know, Germany has been one of the most pro-Ukraine and anti-Putin countries in Europe, and good for them. I mean, they have a historical loggerheads with Russia, but Germany is now talking about remilitarizing with huge sums of money. They're talking about it. They haven't done it yet. Now, anyone who has heard of World War I or World War II should be a little bit nervous about Germany rearming, but I do think it's a good thing. I think I've showed you this stat before. There are 50,000 U.S. soldiers in Germany right now at 40 American military bases, 40 U.S. bases in Germany. The war is over 80 years ago, and American soldiers have not left. They're still in Japan, too. They're still in Korea, too. They're still in Cuba from that war. I mean, it's incredible how how much money, blood, and treasure the Americans spend around the world. Why is the United States the Globocop? It's a question Trump asks sometimes. Maybe America wants to be. Maybe America wants the whole world run in its image, and I think a lot of Americans like that. But then again, maybe Americans don't. After so many forever wars, how many trillions of dollars spent in Iraq and Afghanistan, and for what? Hey, remember that guy Callum, the Brit we spoke to the other day who was arrested under the Terrorism Act and police grilled him for 6 hours? Remember him? I saw this video he posted the other day from Afghanistan. Just watch this for a minute.
So I found this big trash pile. All trash. Things that Afghanis don't need. Loads of chairs. Other crap. More chairs, some rugs they don't want. What else don't they want in Afghanistan? Gender sensitivity training. US aid Afghans value chains livestock gender and youth team. Oh no. Women's agriculture. Don't need that anymore. That's for the trash heap. More gender sensitivity training. Don't need that. God. Apparently when we landed, there was immediately a firefight between some ISIS guys and Taliban guys just down there. Taliban won.
Did you see that? American taxpayers' dollars was going towards gender analysis in Afghanistan. Obviously, the Taliban have thrown that all out. I mean, that's what American money has gone to around the world, and I think a lot of Americans are sick of it. Anyways, a reality check is usually a conservative thing. When people daydream, that's usually a liberal instinct, and you want to have dreams. You want to think big. I do. But reality is conservative. Will Canada actually be self-sufficient, as both the liberals and the conservatives tell us? Here's a tweet from Anita Anand. She says, yes, we will build an all-in Canada auto manufacturing sector powered by Canadian workers while using Canadian steel and aluminum. Canada strong. And she retweets a video from Mark Carney. Well, that's a tall order. It takes a lot of things to just build an auto industry. I mean, you have to be a pretty serious country to do that. Not all countries in the world have a car industry. For example, you have to be serious enough to use coal to make steel. I don't know if you know this, but you cannot make steel without coal. Nothing else burns hot enough. Did you know that? So all the steel in those big wind turbines, they cannot be made without coal. I'm reminded, though, of this bizarre, flippant comment by Mark Carney about steel.
Secondly, what we're going to do is make sure not that the government pays, not that we as taxpayers pay, but the large polluters pay. And so what happens?
But does that not ultimately trickle down?
No, because what the big companies are producing, by and large, are not products that we are consuming. There's some element of that, but by and large, a steel company, how much steel are you using these days, Todd? I mean, not as much we used to.
Canadians don't need steel. He said that like 2 weeks ago. Mark Carney hates steel because he hates coal. and he hates oil and gas, and he hates all of carbon. It's his entire motive, GFANZ, that we talked about yesterday, the Glasgow Finance Alliance for Net Zero. What would net zero in an industry actually look like? It would look a little bit like that detonated coal plant in Germany, wouldn't it? That's net zero. Remember what we saw yesterday about GFANZ? He's been a net zero advisor to the United Kingdom government too. Remember he said that under oath? Well, would you look at this headline from the Daily Telegraph today? Today, there's no more British Steel. Now, British Steel is the name of a company. It actually hasn't been British for a while. It's owned by China. Imagine that. I mean, talk about the opposite of America first. The UK allowed China to buy its last steel company. Well, let me read to you a little bit from this Telegraph story. British Steel's Chinese owners, I just got to say that again. British Steel's Chinese owners reject 500 million pounds of taxpayers' cash to go green. So the UK is offering them the equivalent of $1 billion Canadian to go green. How do you make a steel company green when, like I say, look it up yourself, you cannot make steel without coal? British Steel's Chinese owners reject 500 million pounds of taxpayers' cash to go green. Future of UK's only virgin steel factory faces fresh doubts. Virgin steel is when you make steel from scratch as opposed to just melting down scrap metal. Let me read a little bit. The future of one of Britain's biggest steel makers has been thrown into doubt after its Chinese owner rejected 500 million pounds from the government to help it switch to green energy. Jingye, the Chinese steel group, is understood to have told UK ministers that it will not accept the subsidy to invest in green production at its British steel operations in Scunthorpe. You want to say that carefully, because it falls short of the £1 billion demanded. The rejection raises fresh doubts about the future of this site, which employs thousands of workers. On Wednesday, Sarah Jones, the energy minister, told the Business Select Committee its offer to British Steel to keep its operations going had been rejected. Quote, "We made an offer to British Steel on Monday and they have rejected that offer. We are still in talks with them at the moment," she said. "Our preference would be for the blast furnaces to keep going for the time being," she told the committee. The Scunthorpe site is currently the only site in the UK that can make virgin steel using blast furnaces. The government has been pushing for producers to switch to greener electric furnace production, which mostly melts scrap steel or iron and mixes it with some virgin steel. The Scunthorpe plant's blast furnaces have been earmarked for closure since, get this, 2023, after the Rishi Sunak's administration pushed for greener production in its quest to reach net zero. I don't know if you remember Rishi Sunak. He was the last Conservative PM there. So the Conservative Party was pushing for this. Yeah, it's falling apart under the Labour Party, but both parties support this madness. But it's not madness from their point of view. What do you think net zero means? It means toppling a coal factory in Germany. It means shutting down a steel factory in the UK. What do you think the zero part of net zero means? Both of these stories, the coal factory detonated, the coal-fired blast furnaces going cold, that is a success. If your way of looking at the world is net zero, it is incredible that the UK has only one steel mill left. That's where the Industrial Revolution was born. An island built out of coal was harnessed to make trains and ships and factories. It was amazing. It transformed the world. It improved the life of everyone on the planet. The Industrial Revolution was a British invention. But so was net zero, wasn't it? China already owns their last steel mill. Now they're shutting it down. Mark Carney approves. What do you think net zero means? What do you think transition means? Yeah, Germany's being shut down. The UK's being shut down. What do you think Mark Carney will do to us here? You cannot remilitarize if you deindustrialize. And when Anita Anand says she's going to build an auto industry, not without coal, you're not.